Hi guys, I'm Elizabeth, one of the interns at Brooks this semester, and today I am going to be showing you how to make a snail out of modeling clay. I found this modeling clay at Michael's for about $5, I think even less than that. The first thing you want to do is take a nice chunk of the clay off, and then you're going to roll it out into like a long string. You want to make sure that one end is not thicker or thinner than the other to keep the snail shell pretty even. After you have a long enough rope or string of clay, you're going to begin rolling it. It's okay if your fingers leave little indents in it. It'll go away after a while, and it's not meant to be totally perfect. So you want to make sure that you don't roll the clay all the way up. You want to leave a little end at the end of it to act as the snail's head. And I went ahead and flattened the bottom by just pushing it down against the table. After that, you're going to take a little bit more clay and you're just going to add some features to the snail. So I went ahead and began rolling out little antennas. And this is kind of trial and error. You want it to be small enough to where it doesn't overpower the rest of the snail, but you want it to be big enough to where you can tell what it is and that it'll hold itself up. So I, again, did this kind of the same thing, and I rolled the ends of them. Again, trial and error on what's going to make the best little indents. You want to add 2 little indents at the top of the head. You'll see that this was way too big, so I went ahead and made a smaller one. Again, rolling it up like I did the snail shell. And I dipped it in water just to see. I don't know if it actually did anything to help it stay, but it gave me peace of mind. Did the same thing again. Added a pencil underneath to help it dry without looking sad or slanted. It really didn't do much though, so if you have something a little thicker to put underneath it, that would be better. So same thing again, just made the second little antenna. Dip the end in water and place it in the second divot on the top of the snail's head. You may need to redo this a few times. Totally okay if so. After that, I went ahead and made 2 little spots for the eyes and a smile. I just did not click the lead into the pencil, so it was just the end of the pencil without the lead through it. Does not have to be perfect. So for the eyes, I took 2 tiny pieces of clay and I rolled them into 2 little balls. But you'll see that in a second. I also did this and added little spots all over the clay, just to give the snails some cute little features. And you can do this however you want. You can add some on the shell. You don't have to add it. You can add different designs. It's totally up to you. You do not have to follow exactly what I am saying. You'll see I added the eyes there. Try to get them even. If not, it's fine. After that, you're going to want to let your snail dry overnight. And the next day, go ahead and pick out some paint colors that you would like to use. You do not have to use like this paint plate. You can use a paper plate, a bowl, a cup, whatever you have on hand. And I recommend putting something down underneath the project. I chose to do a cardboard box. I mean, you do not have to use the paint colors that I chose. You can use whatever ones you would like. I found the paint for about 79 cents at Michael's, so it's super cheap. That's where I usually get all of my paint. Go ahead and pick out a nice wide paintbrush and use whatever color you would like to go ahead and start painting the shell. I chose to do like a light orange. And you just want to make sure you're covering all of the shell. I would recommend using a flat paintbrush instead of this like more pointed one. It'll probably make it a lot easier. But again, just use whatever you have on hand. Make sure you fill in all of those little crevices from the clay. You want to make sure it's all nice and covered. And if it gets in other parts, like you'll see there, I just messed up. It's not a big deal. Since it's such a light color, the darker paints will cover it up. And if it does not, just let it dry and go over it again with a couple coats of whatever color you choose to use for the body. And you'll see exactly why I decided to put something underneath me, because I am not a clean painter. I'm a very messy painter. It gets everywhere. And just choose an end point where you want the shell to end and the body to begin. Make sure you get around the outer edges that you cannot see. Find a smaller paintbrush if you can, and go ahead and with the color you want to choose for the body. I would recommend choosing a lighter color than what you want the spots to be. That way, if the paint does get on the spots, you can go ahead and cover it up with the spot color paint or whatever design you decided to do. Also recommend using a smaller paintbrush, that way you can get all around the dots or any design that you chose to do. It'll look a lot cleaner. And this may take a little bit of time. And it does not have to be super clean and neat. It's just a fun project. If paint goes places where you didn't want it to end up going, not a big deal. You can either paint over it or just leave it. Do whatever design you would like and get as creative as possible with it. You could even paint the snail one color all over. Or probably use some food coloring or tie-dye to dye the clay to begin with and keep it that color. And it may take the clay a few days to fully dry, but as long as you wait over one night just to get it hard enough to paint on, then it is fine for it to dry the rest of the way with the paint. So next I'm going into just painting the dots. I decided on this really pretty green color. It also helped that it was darker than the purple and covered up whatever mistakes I made with the purple. Even with the green though, it's hard to keep all of the paint on the dots, and some did go around the edges, but it is totally fine. Again, this is not meant to be a perfectionist project or a perfect project. It's just meant to be a fun little craft. Get your creativity flowing. I went in with an even smaller paintbrush than I did for the snail's body. But again, if you don't have all these different size paintbrushes, that's totally fine. You could even use a Q-tip or something like that to go in and paint the dots. An old makeup sponge could even be good to cover the whole snail shell if you do not have paintbrushes. Just find whatever you have around your house. And now I'm going ahead and doing the eyes. Decided to use this really pretty blue color. Again, it does not have to be perfect, as you can see from mine. To make it look a little less crazy, I decided to add little pupils. I don't know how well my goal was achieved, but just do whatever you think would look the best. After that, you're going to let the paint dry overnight, and there you have it, a cute little snail. Thanks guys for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day.